Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. Just as I was setting up my mat, it's so funny. Like, I have the bookshelf, and oh, it looks like such a tidy house. And then I look around the room at all of the things that I've pushed out of view of the camera. See, it's all a lie. It's all a lie. Everyone's lives are messy. Anyway, sorry, I'm not sure where I was going with that. It's not just me, though, I hope. I welcome, yeah, more yoga. I thought today what we would work on is eagle pose. We haven't done it in a while. Aside from releasing a little bit through the upper back, we're going to do it in a few different variations. So we'll start on our backs and then make our way to standing. And often I find in yoga class, teachers will be like, okay, eagle, everybody go. And then they kind of like look like really wobbly pretzels all over the room because they haven't given you enough opportunity to work the shoulders and work the stability of the standing legs first before getting into it. So we'll get into it. We'll take time, take half an hour, in fact, almost, to get into our eagle pose. So let's actually start lying down if you're comfortable there on your back. As always, helpful to have blocks or props or anything you might need to bring the floor up to you. Perhaps less important today, but you never know. And then once you're on your back, take the moment to get a few wiggles out or scratches or anything you need to do. And then find a position that's comfortable for yourself today, whether that's flat on your back with your legs extended, or maybe decide to take your knees bent. This is a really good variation if your low back is feeling tight. If so, take the feet, a little bit wider than your hips. Let the knees hang in toward each other, and that will take all of the muscular activation out of it. Maybe you choose to take a butterfly position with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide, which is kind of cool because it's the opposite stretch than we get from eagle. So wherever you need to go. And then a little wrap of your shoulder blades together on your back, just to open through your chest and shoulders. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then continue breathing however you need to. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. You might notice the rise and fall of your belly or your chest. You might notice qualities like deep or shallow, smooth or choppy, moist or dry, warm or cool. You might not notice any of those things. Maybe you notice something entirely different. But the key is that you're noticing something about the breath, observing the breath. Last couple of breaths here. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Wiggle of your fingertips or toes, or maybe a little rock of your head from side to side, or a full body morning stretch. And then take your feet mat width apart, bent with your knees bent, and take some windshield wipers of the legs from one side to the other. One interesting thing about eagle pose is the top leg is in internal rotation. So next time your knees are over at the left, pause there. Right now, our top leg here is in internal rotation at the hip. So starting to release this will help you get into eagle pose a little bit deeper. Possibly, who knows? Maybe you choose to stay here. Maybe you will choose to hook the left ankle over top of the right thigh. Maybe you just hang out passively here. Maybe you squeeze the right bum to lift the hip up a little bit higher. You could reach the right arm back up and to the right, getting a long opening through the right side of the body. And one more breath here. And then slowly unhook that ankle, come back to center, maybe a couple little windshield wipers just to release. And then the next time your knees are over at the right, pause there. And see how this feels. Maybe that left leg just feels really great where it is. If you'd like to deepen it without cranking on your knees, cross the right ankle over top of the left thigh. Maybe you hang passively here, or maybe you squeeze the bum on the left side. You could reach the left arm back up into the left. Right, internal rotation isn't something that we work too often in yoga or indeed anywhere in life. Because it's not particularly comfortable, but it's a way that our legs move at the hips. So it's an important thing to stabilize and to release. Okay, unhook that right foot, come back to center, maybe a little windshield wiper, and then draw your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. You might stay here with the knees quite close. You might think, oh, I need a massage a little bit lower down, so send the knees a little bit further away from you. Okay, and then bring your feet to the floor. Keep your knees bent. From here, cross your right thigh over top of the left. Now, we're not going to get too worried about hooking that foot behind like in an eagle pose. This might just be where you stay for this first variation. Right, so we're just starting to warm things up. Now, if your ankle is crossed and then right knee is way out to the side, I want you to really think of crossing the thigh. So it might not be internally rotated necessarily, but it's definitely not externally rotated. If you don't, don't worry about it. Just try and keep the thighs crossed. And then from here, bring your right arm underneath your left, and then grab the back of your shoulders or the sides of your shoulders, wherever you can grab, really. Some of you might choose to stay here with these arms, or maybe start to bring the palms or the forearms together in more of a traditional eagle variation with the arms. And if so, wicked, but let the hands rest on the forehead. So it's a little bit more passive here, right? We're just easing into these shapes. And then next option is to start to de-weight the legs or the feet from the floor. So keeping the legs crossed. If you want to try and hook the foot, you can. It's kind of awkward here though. And just keep the legs crossed. Last option is maybe curl the elbows toward the knees. As much as possible, just breathing as much as possible, keeping the tension out of the neck. Press the low back into the floor. And then slowly, gently release back to the earth. Unwind, shake out your legs and your arms, and then we'll switch sides. So with your feet planted, cross the left thigh over top of the right. Again, not the left ankle, so we're not doing figure four, right? We're crossing the thigh. And then reach your arms up to the sky. Cross the left arm underneath the right. I think you might stay here with just grabbing the outside of your shoulders, sorry. I was in Tahiti there for a moment. Or maybe you start to wrap the forearms or the palms toward each other. Now, it can always be a bit weird with your shoulders, right? So if you're feeling tension or pain in particular, back out of it. Go back a step. And then let the hands rest on your forehead. So for this side, I'm just going to go back to my shoulders because that's what feels best. And then next option, start to de-weight the legs, right? Just drawing the feet away from the floor, drawing the knees toward you, press the low back into the earth. Option to stay here, or next option to curl your elbows toward the knees. Again, as much as possible, keeping the tension out of the neck and the shoulders. Keep pressing the low back into the earth. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly on your exhale, release back down. Unwind the arms, the legs, maybe a little rock and roll from side to side or up and down your spine. Eventually making your way to hands and knees, whether that's just rolling to one side and pressing yourself up. And then let's set up in our quadruped position. So knees underneath hips, toes tucked or untucked, hands nice and wide. So outer shoulder width apart or wider. Spread the fingertips wide. Little draw of belly button to spine. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels best for you here. And then on your inhale, lift the tailbone to the sky. Hollow through the lower back. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Beam your heart forward. Cow pose. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round through the spine. Really press the floor away. Inhale to dip the belly into cow. Exhale, round the spine into cat. So a few more of these spinal undulations on your own time, your own breath. And it might be, pretty simple, pretty straightforward here, just playing with the flexion extension. Maybe you slept weird and there's some kind of tightness or kinks in the back that you need to get out. So feel free to add on other natural movement that would feel really good here. And exploring your body and the way it needs to move today might be totally different. In fact, it usually is from one day to the next. And then slowly come back to center. Little draw of belly button to spine. Now you're welcome to stay here. Maybe you come up onto your fists and keep moving through cat and cow if you prefer. Or you can always come down to your forearms, which is weird. I should say, we're going to go on downward facing dog. So downward facing dog. Now, if down dog doesn't work for you, then maybe stay on your hands and knees or come onto your forearms in a dolphin pose. But go where you need to go. Your knees can be deeply bent in down dog, right? Don't ever think that you have to try and straighten the legs here or that the heels have to touch the floor. And again, even this pose, if you don't do it every day, it's going to feel tight. And honestly, even if you do this pose every day, it might still feel tight. And press the floor away a little bit more with the hands. Last couple of breaths here, whether you're in movement or in stillness. And then bend your knees, look forward. Take as many steps as you need to come into your standing forward fold. Feet about hip width apart. You might choose to rest your elbows on your knees or thighs today, giving yourself a little bit more support. Maybe, alternatively, you clasp opposite elbows with hands for more traction along your spine, or in between, maybe you bring hands to blocks, and wherever you need to go for a few breaths. You could sway a little bit from side to side. You could be totally still. Make sure your knees aren't caving in, though, that they're not knocking ever so slightly. Track your knees out toward the baby toe edges of your feet. And then release your hands with fingertips to your shins or the earth or blocks. Inhale, little partway lift, belly button to spine, beam your heart forward. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more just like that. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. And then bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing, one vertebra at a time, as slowly as you need to go, until eventually you come all the way up. Couple loops of your shoulders up, back and down, or wiggle, shake out, noodle, whatever you need to do. Welcome. All right, feet hip width apart. Spread the toes wide, right? Keep them spread wide if you can as you bring them down. My fingers start to go weird when I say that. Little drop, belly button to spine. On your inhale, set your hips down and back for your chair pose. Okay, so we're going to start to work a little bit on the stability part of eagle without even going into eagle pose. Tailbone down slightly to feel your belly button engage toward your spine, shoulder blades on your back. Arms can be wherever. And I want you to think of just rocking side to side here, or forward and back. You can feel that maybe starting to fire up the glutes. And from here, send all your weight over to your right leg. Now keep chair pose on that right leg, knee bent, hips flexed, right? So bum shooting back. Come onto the toes on that left foot. Couple taps up and down to find your balance here. Heart high, you're not rounding forward. And then extend the left foot forward. You can always tap down, pick it up, or tap down in the middle. Take it out to the left. And then up. And then back behind you. And up. Back out to the left. And up. Watch this one, curtsy to the right. And up. And then come down into middle. Chair pose, pause. That right leg is going to want to send you over to the left. Couple breaths. Find that center. And now then come over to that left side. Maybe even take a couple pulses here just to make sure you've still got that buoyancy on both joints. Come onto the toes on the right foot. Couple taps up and down here. And then extend the right leg forward. And then pick it up or tap it down if you want more stability. Out to the right. And up. And back. And up. Back out to the right. And up. Curtsy to the left. And up. Come back to center. Last couple breaths in the middle. Tailbone down. Hips low, heart high. And then stand all the way up. Shake it out a little bit. Maybe do a couple hip circles, one direction and then the other. All right. A little bit more, just a little bit more firing up of those stabilizers, and then we'll move into eagle. So send the weight over to your right leg. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee, right? Because if the knee isn't bent, then your glutes aren't working. And eagle pose has a bent leg. So there we go. Pick up that left leg. Try not to hike up the hip to start with. And I just want you to move that left leg, keeping it in the air as much as you can. Obviously, if you're going to fall, tap down the foot and then start to go a little bit bigger, right? I don't care what movements you're doing. I don't care what it looks like. What I want is to really work the stabilizers on that right leg. Right? Maybe go into some weird kind of balancing shapes. Maybe you feel like you're super cool, like in the Matrix or Cirque du Soleil. Maybe you feel like you're a clown in Cirque du Soleil rather than one of the acrobats. Last couple breaths here. Okay, step the left leg down, shake out that right leg, probably feeling it through the quads and the glutes, maybe even in the sole of your feet, right? All that little tiny micro movements, those are the proprioceptors firing to give you more stability. Okay, over to that left foot. Little buoyancy, again on that supporting knee, and then pick up the right leg. Again, without hiking the hip to start, just so you can find that center, and then start to move around with that right leg. Maybe you extend it, or maybe you're doing like a balletic rond de jambe, or maybe you start to really go for it. Figure eights could be slow, right? Giving yourself that chance to really work the stability. Maybe you're going fast, trying to throw yourself off balance. Right, wherever you need to be, keep that buoyancy on the supporting leg though. You might feel your toes really trying to grip into your mat. Last couple breaths. Wow, And then stand back and center. Shake out your legs. Little wiggle. All right, let's give the legs a quick break, and then we'll get into the upper back, or the arms and the chest. So open your arms wide. On your exhale, sweep the right arm under your left, grab the back of the shoulder. So same thing that we did while lying down. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 to bring the forearms together, or maybe the fingertips come into palm. People say palm to palm, but unless one arm is quite a bit longer than the other, there's no way you can get palm to palm here. And then lift the elbows. Shoulder blades go down the back. Now try not to pop through the low back, right? Ribs rather, knit down toward your pelvis. Now, if you're here with me in this variation, rather than resting the hands on the forehead this time, think of pulling them away from your face as much as possible. This is going to get into the back of the neck and the shoulders, elbows high, shoulder blades down. Last couple of breaths. If you wish, you can take it into a mini back bend. Really squeeze the bum though, protect the low back. Okay, as you exhale here, bend the knees, pull your elbows forward. Now you can see I'm really rounding through the spine, spinal flexion. Maybe you stay up here, getting into the upper back, right? The rhomboids, mid-trapezius. Maybe you start to round forward a little bit more, getting into mid-back, right? Lower trapezius, maybe you round even further down, getting into the muscles of the low back, wherever you need to go. Keep pulling the elbows forward, right? Really active flexion here. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Spread your wings. Flap them if you want to. Shake them out. And then we'll immediately go to the opposite side. So it's subtle, but there is a difference depending on which arm is on top. So arms wide. This time, left arm comes under right. Maybe you grab the back of the shoulders. Maybe you bring the forearms together, or palm to palm. And then even if the elbows, or if you're grabbing the shoulders, lift the elbows high. So wherever you are, elbows lift high, squeeze the bum, and then shoulder blades down the back. If you're with me in the fuller bind, then pull the hands away from your face as much as possible. Try not to lift through the chin. If anything, think of pushing the back of the head back. Couple more breaths here, really getting into the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. Maybe you take it into a little mini back bend. And then bend your knees. Exhale, pull the elbows forward, round through your spine. Again, going wherever you need to go, as high or as low as feels best on your body today. Maybe you even sway a little bit from side to side. And then inhale, come back up, unfurl your wings, shake it all out. Okay, now let's go into the feet. So those were your eagle arms. Now we'll do eagle legs, and then after that, we'll combine them all together, and hopefully we'll have time to do that. So send your weight over to your right foot, a little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Now, come onto the toes on that left foot. The trick with eagle, again, is the top leg is in internal rotation, right? We're not doing a figure 4 stretch. If your knee goes out to the side like that, there's no way that you're going to get the activations that you want for eagle. So internally rotate, right? Like a toddler that has to go to the bathroom, okay? Hugging the legs toward each other. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to cross the left leg over top of the right, keeping that internal rotation. Toes can stay on the floor. Maybe you pick up the foot, bring it to the side of the calf. Maybe, depending on the shape of your legs, your left foot hooks behind your calf. But the whole time, thinking of that internal vortex. Bend the supporting knee. So this top leg is hugging in, but also kind of resting on that bottom leg. Now arms can go wherever because we're just doing the legs to start with. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. Sit into the hips. So hips down and back, knees bent, right? It's chair pose, but one leg is on top, right? Really strong, really stable, hopefully. Last couple breaths here. And then inhale, unwind, shake it out. Awesome work, I'm assuming. at a certain point, it's just like I'm complimenting myself. Send the weight over to your left leg. So we'll do that on the opposite side. Come onto the toes on the right leg and then internally rotate. I'm not sure why I made that sound, but it's kind of like everything's getting pulled back, right? Keep chair pose on that supporting leg and then pick up the top, right? Option to stay here. Or pick up the top leg, cross it over top. Toes can stay on the floor for more stability. Keep that internal rotation. Maybe the foot comes off the floor. Maybe it hooks behind the supporting calf. Now, if your supporting leg is straight, you're not doing the work, right? You're not getting into what we want to get into. So bend both knees, hips down and back. Really hug the legs toward each other like crazy, right? You might even feel kind of this weird compression on the hamstrings of that top leg. Keep hugging the legs toward each other. Belly button to spine. Right? We really work the stabilizers. So maybe you're feeling like, oh, these legs aren't too bad today. And then inhale, come back up, shake it out a little bit. Okay, option to do just the legs again. Or let's combine it all together, right? Knitting all of these movements together, arms and legs. Weight back over to that right leg. Little buoyancy in the knee. Internally rotate that left leg. Option to stay here or cross it. Toes on the floor or hook behind. Get your legs, get the stability. Maybe arms out to the side or sweep the left arm under the right. Grab the backs, the shoulders if you want, or some sort of variation of full eagle bind. Now it gets a little bit tricky when something's in your front of your field of vision for balance. But if you can, find a single point of focus, hug the legs toward each other, lift the elbows, and then inhale, unfurl your wings, flap a little bit, and then let's go to the opposite side. Last time, over to the left, bend the supporting leg, come onto the toes on the right, internally rotate. Maybe you stay here, maybe you cross the legs, wherever you need to go. Okay, find the stability on this side. Can be super different from one side to the other, belly button to spine. Maybe you stay with your wings open. Maybe right arm comes under left, or some sort of bind with the arms here. Shoulder blades down, elbows high, hips down and back. Bend the supporting knee, hug the legs toward each other, even kind of scooping that top thigh backwards. Last couple of breaths here. If you fall out, no big deal. It's just yoga. And then inhale, come out, shake it all out. Oh, couple hip circles, a little twist from side to side, a little bounce. Awesome. Eagle pose, right? It's like Steve Miller Band. Fly like an eagle. My yoga friends, come on down to the mat. Little wiggle or cat and cow. And then shift your hips on one side. Let's do a quick chest opener before we come down to the floor. So feet come in front of you, hands behind you, fingertips pointing back. Wrap the elbows, the shoulder blades toward each other, lift through the heart. This might be enough for you today. If you'd like to deepen it, maybe you walk your hands back or press into your hands and feet and then shift your hips forward, but down again. So your bum's on the floor. Wrap the shoulder blades, the elbows toward each other, lift through the heart. Really press through the pointer finger knuckle mound. Getting that beautiful opening through the chest and the shoulders. Just a nice counter stretch to eagle. Last breath here. And bend your elbows, release. And if you'd like to, tuck the tailbone under, round down toward the floor, or use your hands to lower yourself down if you wish. Once you're down, hug your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. Take your knees wide toward your shoulders or armpits. You might stay here or kick your feet up to the sky for happy baby. You can grab the backs, the thighs, somewhere along the legs, the ankles, or the feet. You might rock a little bit from side to side. And if there's anything else you feel like you need today before your rest, feel free to go where you need to go. Otherwise, think about where you would like to land. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight, in a shavasana or a starfish pose. You could rest on your side or in child's pose or in a seated meditation. And there's no rush to get there. But once you've found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of the breath control. Return to your natural breath as much as possible, slow and sweet. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.